I might do a vasectomy.
Totally unacceptable. The withdrawal method is not even should not count.
One of the easiest contraceptive methods.
Hello, you're welcome to Gist Arena. All we do is gist, and gist. We discuss topical, trending, and exciting topics, and we have fun while at it. We invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy each thrilling moment of gist, and gist.
Hello, everyone. You're welcome to another episode of Gist Arena. How are you all doing? I'm very sure that your week has been really pleasant, and we are really glad to have you join us on today's episode. I am your girl, Ayotunde, and Cynthia is here with me. Hello, Cynthia. How are you doing? But it's not only Cynthia that will be joining me today. I have 3 guests in the house. Yay! Okay, 2 of our guests are returning guests. They've been here before, and we're happy to have them back. And of course, we have a new guest in the house. I will introduce our guests very quickly. Our first returning guest is Dr. Vera James. I'm sure you remember her from season 1, and we are happy to have you back, Dr. Vera. In case you don't know, Dr. Vera is an expert in educational management. She is the principal consultant of Vera James Global Consultancy Limited. Boss lady things, right? Dr. Vera provides education consultancy, and that includes curriculum development, administration, management, evaluation and organization of educational institutions. Anything education, you can reach Dr. Vera, and I promise you she knows her onions very well. So if you're a parent, for instance, who's looking for good schools for your children, or if you are a proprietor or a proprietress, who wants to know how to implement best practices in education, or whatever it is, that you want to do as regards education, you can reach out to Dr. Vera either on IG or Facebook at Vera James GC, and I'm sure you will be happy, to have her work with you. So, Dr. Vera, you're welcome once again. Our second returning guest is Ogashiju. Ogashiju, I think, has been on the show twice, and is really becoming, a regular gister right now, and we're always happy to have him here with us. Ogashiju is a health enthusiast, and is also a community development strategist. Okay, he helps communities to adopt healthy lifestyle choices while they get access to improved health services. Ogashiju has a book to his name, and the title of his book is I Don't Wake Up. Very interesting title, right? Okay, so, you can reach out to Ogashiju to know more about what he's doing. If you're also a health enthusiast, you may want to partner with him, and all of that stuff. So you can reach him either on Facebook, IG, or Twitter at CJAX07. CJAX07, SIJAX07. Ogashiju, welcome to our midst once again. We are happy to have you here. Now, our third guest and our new guest, who we are happy to receive, into our midst, is an OBGYN, that is an obstetrician gynecologist. And you will know why we brought her to the show shortly. So Dr. Chichi, like I said, is an OBGYN, and she specializes in fertility management. Of course, you know that as an OBGYN, our area of specialization basically is reproductive health, and she provides a wide range of reproductive health services. But then She is really passionate about helping couples, to overcome infertility challenges via assisted reproduction. Okay, so if you have any reproductive health issue or you have any fertility challenge, you can reach out to Dr. Chichi. She is a professional. She's an expert in her field, and I can assure you that you will find yourself in very good hands. Okay? Dr. Chichi also has a book, and our book is Putting Your Best Egg Forward. I mean, my guests are books with very interesting titles. Putting your best egg forward. So, like I said, if you have, reproductive health challenges, or if you just want to know more about reproductive health, or, you're battling with fertility issues or infertility issues, as the case may be, you can reach out to Dr. Chichi on IG at IAM_Dr. Chichi. IAM_Dr. Chichi. Okay, you can reach out to her, book, an appointment with her. You can pick up a book and read, and you get, very useful and vital information. Dr. Chichi, thank you for coming, to our show. We really appreciate you. And we are sure that we will gain a lot from you today. Thank you. Okay. So, let's get, down to business. There's this gist, that we want to discuss today. And that's why, you will know again why we brought Dr. Chichi on board. This gist is about birth control, family planning. And, well, Dr. Chichi is actually here to answer some, questions for us about, that are related to birth control or family planning. And so she's here as a professional to answer our questions. And then I will be sampling Ogashiju's opinion and Dr. Vera's opinion, about this particular matter. And of course, Cynthia is here today like an independent observer. Okay, you'll understand, when I bring this gist up. And then I'll also hear what Cynthia has to say, about this matter. So let me quickly give you a download of the gist. I think this story was shared by Dr. Olufumilayo, our online or your online favorite doctor. That's on Twitter. Probably some of you might be very familiar with him. So he shared the story some years ago. And it's about this couple. So what really happened was that the man, that's the husband, somehow connived with their doctor to remove his wife's womb. Well, to remove a womb. And why did he do that? It said that they had an agreement that they were going to have just 3 kids. But then, as at that point that he made that request of the doctor, they already had 5 children. And so he told the doctor that, please, by the time she has this 5th child, just help me remove a womb. Because apparently the woman, has now come to that point where she is saying, look, God gives children, so if they come, they come. As a matter of fact, the man said that they had 2 miscarriages. So that means that if those miscarriages didn't happen, they probably would have been on the 7th, child at that time. And he felt that she just wanted to kill him with responsibilities because, they agreed to have 3 children and she's going on and on, having kids. Now, you would expect that, the woman should take some birth control, measures, right? Well, not the woman alone, the woman and the man, as a matter of fact. But then the woman said birth control pills, make her bloated. Like it makes the pills made her add weight and all of that. And so she doesn't want that, and so she's not good. I mean, she stopped using. That's if she was using at all. Well, she would have been using, for her to have that kind of experience. So she stopped using the pills. And the man, of course, too, now is he has. I mean, there's no love lost between him and condom. So he also is not interested, in using condom. He's like, you're my wife. Why should I be using condom? Which is, so apparently both of them, they tossed birth control, and they were just having a go at it like that, express. and they want just 3 kids. I mean, so, well, anyway, that was the issue. So the woman was like, the man, felt like, from the story, because it was someone that told the story to Dr. Olufemilayo anyway. So from the story, the man was like, he said something like, he's the husband, that's his wife, he owns our organs, he owns our body or something like, oh my God. So that's why I felt, well, if she's not, doing the needful, because I also said that, well, it's not his problem. So he didn't see he needs to probably also look into other options of family planning or birth control that has to do with the man. So she's the one with the problem, right? I don't get how that is, but then that was what he said, and that she's the one that, should have fixed it. So since she's not doing that, then he, decided to step in, and the only thing he thought to do was to remove a womb. Interesting. Why not be the ritual killer? Why you going to harvest someone else's organs to your alone? Well, so the woman somehow found out that had happened. And that was when the war began. So she started trashing things in the house, burning things, according to the person that narrated, the story. So the person said the man had actually rushed to his mom's house because they were members of the same church. So she went to report that my wife, she's burning things and blah, 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 and all of that. And that person took it to Dr. Olufemilayo, asking if the woman could get her womb back. I mean, okay, maybe Dr. Chichi will help us to answer that question. Can she get her womb back? Oh, my God. It's hilarious, but then it's also serious. I mean, wow. So, Ogashiju, I want you to tell me, what would you have done, as the man in this particular scenario? If, let's say you were the husband, hypothetically, well, what would you have done, in this case? Do you think what the man did was okay? Since the woman also was not taking any kind of responsibility, so to speak, and of course, is desperate. It doesn't want more than 3 children, and and all of that. So, do you think it did right? What would you have done? And then, Dr. Vera, I also want to, so I'm putting the 2 of you together now in this situation as, hypothetical husband and wife. Sorry to your respective partners. Okay, so, Dr. Vera, what would you, have done, as a woman in this particular, scenario? I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Wow, this is a good time to be back on the Gist Arena studio. Seriously, I'm so glad to be here today. Okay, Ayatunde, thank you so much for bringing me on board. And Cynthia, our independent observer. So I'm glad to be here with Dr. Chichi and Dr. Vera, and I believe that we'll be having a very engaging conversation. So let me just go straight to the point as regards the question that you've asked me. What would I do if perhaps I was in this situation, I was the man? Yeah. Okay, first, I know that Dr. Chichi will be giving us more insights into the various options. But one thing that I know for sure and that I always advocate is that family planning is a right. So access to family planning is something that everybody should. But when people choose not to adopt family planning, probably they have their own reasons. But I think sometimes the issue is that a particular family planning method that is being used or administered may not be working properly for somebody, probably due to some side effects that they are seeing, and then they think that this side effect is negative and they don't like to see such kind of effects. I think appropriately they should now see if they can consider other options with probably different side effects. If there are, definitely there would be side effects. So if they can consider various other options, I think it will be most perfect. But in this case where both of them are not choosing the options that would have been probably available to them, the man not choosing to use condoms or anything, and then, well, I wouldn't go as far as conniving with our doctor to do anything of such. In fact, that is a crime. That is organ harvest. It's a crime on its own and is punishable by law. So what I would have done in this regard is, if I have tried so much to convince my wife for different family planning methods, and then I see that she's really adamant, then I might do a vasectomy. A vasectomy is a process that stops the sperm from entering the semen as ejaculated during sexual intercourse. So semen is ejaculated, but there will be no active sperm in it, and then the body reabsorbs the sperm, and then this is more like an option that Nigerians especially, I don't think a lot of Nigerians are looking to, because there is a big myth flying around that family planning is a woman's responsibility. So a lot of people are not looking into that area of vasectomy. So vasectomy is something that I would have done if I happen to fall in that situation, and well, I wouldn't fall in that situation anyway. So if I was in his shoes, I would have done that rather than go for the big option of committing a crime, a very big crime at that. So I believe Dr. Chichi will be able to share more insight into what vasectomy is and what the effects may be, and whether it's a right decision to go for vasectomy in a case like this. Thank you so much for having me once again.
Hi. Hello, Dr. Ayo. Hello, Mr. Chiji, my hypothetical husband, according to Doctor. Hello, Cynthia. Cynthia, I understand you are our, what was it? Okay, yes, independent observer. Okay, great. Thank you so much for having me on this show. And of course, it remains a privilege coming here. Thank you again for the very wonderful introduction and the free marketing. Wow. Okay, so yeah, as you were talking, I was just smiling because, yes, I agree, it's quite hilarious, but it's very serious and very unnecessary, right? I agree that that woman is, I would call her a very irresponsible person, right? Because when you take any decisions, you know, it's your right to take a decision on yourself. However, if your decision is going to affect another person, then you want to be sensitive about it, right? So you're not going for having your, what's it called now? Family planning. it's going to affect the family. You will keep giving birth to children. So it's important you know that as a woman, you should be on the family planning arrangement, right? And then, as a man, if you want to keep having sex with your spouse and your spouse says she doesn't want to go the family planning way, then you can as well do that, because as your refusal also is also affecting another person. So we must look at decision making holistically. When you want to take a decision as a couple, you must look at the other person. So while the story has not said the man refused a vasectomy, thank you to my own hypothetical husband, who is a very people will say, now man you be. I mean, for those who don't understand what we say in Nigeria, it means you are a real man, right? So because family planning, for me, I see that anyone can go on family planning. It's fine as long as it's agreed by both by the husband and the wife, right? So, but if the woman says, I do not want to do this, then no man has a right to to tell a doctor to remove the womb of the wife without a consent. That's totally unacceptable. So yes, if the woman is born in the house, I think she has her own issues. You can sue him. You can that is a serious matter. And if the marriage is going to be saved, it will definitely take some time. I mean, I'm talking for my own self, right? Because that's infringing on my personal right, and it's totally unacceptable. So that's my thought basically. So for that man, instead of doing that to a woman, you should have simply gone for a vasectomy. That's it. Or you stop having sex with her. Or you go for counseling therapy. Just go somewhere, go report the case. If you have a church, if you have people who can talk to you, who can speak into your marriage, you go meet them and let them know this is a problem that has gone beyond my wife and I. Who is that doctor? That doctor's license should be taken. Dr. Ewa, I was going to ask you, is this a real story? Because it's so incredible. It's so incredible. So I would say, let me just say my last words on this. Okay, maybe not my last words. You may have more questions for me. We just started, by the way, right? So I would just simply say what the woman did. Our decision not to go for family planning is not responsible enough, because she understands that she's had she's not even looking at her health. 2 miscarriages, 5 pregnancies, that's 7 times. And then you want to keep going that way, then you should have talked to your husband and said, okay, guy, I don't want family planning. It's affecting me. So you have to do the family planning. If he says no, then that's another story you guys will start addressing. So that's my own issue with her. But for the man, my issue with the man is he has absolutely, that is as simple as if there's another issue, he can conveniently connive with the doctor to kill his wife. Do you know what that means? What if she dies in the process? He's going to tell somebody else that, I don't want to get so upset. Thank you so much for having me once again. And that's my thoughts, really. Thank you.
Wow, nice responses from Ogashiju and Dr. Vera. Ogashiju, thank you so much for mentioning vasectomy. Coming from a guy, I really appreciate that you pointed us in that direction. And of course, definitely, by the time we get to Dr. Chichi answering a few questions for us, I'm sure she will clear that up. Okay, because I think that probably there is not enough awareness as regards vasectomy, and so a lot of men, when you mention it to them, they'll be like, well, God forbid, probably because they think it's going to affect them one way or the other. I know that guys are really very protective of their down below. So yeah, I can maybe understand, in some way of why some guys will feel like, kilonjebe, maybe they believe that it's going to affect them. But Dr. Chichi will help us, when we get to that part, to tell us what exactly vasectomy is, what the procedure is like, and if it's safe and all of that. So that, just like Dr. Vera mentioned, and I'm I'm thankful too that she said that, when it comes to decision making in marriage, it has to be both people, both parties making a joint decision. Okay, so once probably I may know that, okay, maybe vasectomy is safe for them, then why not opt for it instead of insisting that it's the woman, that should bear the burden of birth control or family planning. I don't think it is right. I think it's something that both of them should sit together and decide that, okay, if this isn't working for you, maybe I can, go for it and all of that. And, probably it's just to also put it out there that more research and all of that should be done so that men too can be part of, this family planning or birth control process. Okay, so men should also have things that they can opt for, that will also control, how they make children. Okay, it shouldn't be the woman that has to take that burden, all alone. Okay, so there are probably some other things that, cropped up in your responses that I would want to react to, but then I don't want us to keep Dr. Chichi waiting. So maybe when we're done with her, if we still have time, I can come back to ask you guys a few questions. But then before we get to Dr. Chichi, our independent observer, Cynthia, thank you for, observing this whole family issue. Okay, so what do you think, Cynthia, about the whole thing? What are your thoughts? I'd like to hear them.
Hello, everyone. It's exciting to have every single one of you on this episode. I'm so excited, and so I'm not gonna waste much time. I will delve into the matter at hand. Just thinking back a couple of minutes ago when I was listening to Ayotunde read out the story, I felt like my skin crawling in itself, and it was just beyond me. Why on earth would you connive with the medical doctor to take out your wife's womb? That in itself is a crime, if I'm correct. I don't think that the doctor should have even done that, without prior knowledge of the wife. The reason why the other one wanted to do is just stupid and flimsy. It's not even like she hasn't tried previously to even go on a family planning method. It's just that the one that she chose at the time, made her add weight. So for me, that is already one method that was used. On the part of the husband, what did he do? Did he use condoms? Did he try? But I don't know. I've heard that withdrawal method is not even should not count. But I mean, did he try something else? And I'm very excited that the issue of vasectomy came up and was brought up by Mr. Chidra. It gladdens my heart. I'm extremely happy about that. On this part of the world, that doesn't usually get brought up. Is that sentence correct? That doesn't usually get it doesn't come in when discussing family planning, because the society just thinks that the onus is on the woman, and just thinking or just looking at what the woman has to go through pregnancy and childbirth, that's already a lot on the woman's body. If more men, or if it can be ingrained, that should definitely be on the forefront. If the woman has gone through a lot, just so that the family can increase, and just so that you can become a parent, I think vasectomy is just a drop in the ocean of how you can lend your support to your family. So I look forward to a society where issues around vasectomy, not issues now, vasectomy being a method of family planning, becomes more mainstream. That would be extremely exciting. And I'm excited that Vera also mentioned that, what did he do to at least, stop them from having more children? Since he says he didn't want to have, did he stop having? Did he stop having sex with her? No, he continued to have sex with her. And Dr. Akezi said, Tunde mentioned that they had 2 miscarriages. So if those were not miscarriages, they would probably have had 7 kids. So you like having sex with her. She has tried one family planning method that is making her add weight. What have you done? What have you done? So I mean, I'm I'm here just listening and seeing where this discussion is going to lead us. I'm really excited from the field that I have heard so far. So good.
Thank you, Cynthia, for your contribution. Nice one there. Okay, so I think we all agree that that man, he didn't try at all. And yes, he committed a crime. And the doctor, that one, his license should just be revoked and he should be banned for life. And I agree, yes, he should go to jail. Because you should know better. Let's even assume that this other man didn't know any better, but he is a professional. He understands the codes of conduct. So I'm wondering, what could the man have given him or promised him that would make him, go against his professional ethics like that? Such person should not even be allowed to practice medicine because, hey, what if the woman had died? I mean, you removed a womb without her consent. Are you a ritual killer? It's only ritual killers that, harvest people's organs without their consent and stuff like that. Okay, yeah, I did mention that there were points that I would have loved to explore, more. And Cynthia, you brought up, one of those points. Speaking of refraining, the man probably refraining from sleeping with his wife in order to cope pregnancy and stuff like that. And I'm like, you people, you will not let sleeping dogs lie now. All right. So I really don't want to keep Dr. Chichi waiting. And like I mentioned earlier, if we still have more time after she's done answering our questions, then I will get back to that so that we can explore it further. In the meantime, let's get to Dr. Chichi. So Dr. Chichi, you're welcome once again. Thank you for being on this episode. I have 2 quick questions to ask you, at least for starters. So I'm curious, and I'm sure that other people might be curious as well. So you are an obstetrician gynecologist. Okay, so I want to know, are the fields of obstetrics and gynecology the same? If they are not, if they're different, then can you be an obstetrician, without being a gynecologist? That is, can you just, practice obstetrics without practicing gynecology and vice versa? So that means, can you also be a gynecologist without being an obstetrician, or do you have to combine both? Okay, well, it's for information, and education. Probably someone out there, wants to be one or the other and is confused or something. So I'll just like you to, enlighten us on that. And then the second question. So one of the things that came up, in that story, and by the way, yes, Dr. Vera asked if it's true. Well, according to the person that told the story, that's Dr. Olufumilayo, the person that told him the story said that the couple, attended the same church with his mother, and it was the man that went to his mother's house to say, oh, this is what is going on, oh, my wife is burning things and all of that. So yeah, well, let's just assume it's true. That's if the person didn't, concoct it in his imagination. Okay. All right. So, like I was saying, Dr. Chichi, the woman said that, she experienced side effects with the birth control method she was using, and I know that I have also heard, that some women experience, certain side effects that are not too pleasant, with regards to the birth control method, that they choose. So I just want you to also enlighten us. Are there, what range of birth control measures do we have out there, and what what are the things a woman should consider, probably before making a choice of birth control? And well, if one is not working, which one would work? And I mean, probably there's a particular one that is that has very minimal side effects, and that maybe has been shown to work very well, for a wide range of women, and all of that. So probably, you could just enlighten us on that. Thank you very much, Dr. Chichi.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad I'm here. So thank you for the question. You want to know difference between obstetrics and gynecology. If it's the same thing, if it can be one without the other. So let me start by saying that obstetrics is the care of the pregnant woman, her care during delivery and after delivery. So pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum, that's after delivery. And that's what obstetrics is basically, is to ensure that when the woman is pregnant, she has optimum health throughout pregnancy and has a safe delivery, safe baby, safe mother, and her postpartum period, that's the period after delivery, she's okay. That's what obstetrics is. Now, gynecology is the study and the care of the female reproductive organs. So that is the care of the female reproductive organs. We have the ovaries, the tubes, the womb, what we call the uterus, the vagina. So that's the one that studies all that. That's gynecology and cares for it. Now, you know that these fields, both of them, are in women. And so it's usually done or studied together, obstetrics and gynecology. Because you know that the pregnant woman, it's her reproductive organs, that are important in her getting pregnant. So that's why it's usually done together. The training is usually together. But you can decide to practice one or the other. So many times, especially abroad now, in many of the developed countries, people decide to practice one or the other. I know some people who say, I just practice gynae because I don't want to do obstetrics. Now, outside the country, obstetrics is fraught with a lot of litigations because you can have a child today and 4 years or 5 years down the line, the parents can say, oh, this child is not as intelligent as the others. Something maybe went wrong during delivery, and then they start a battle, litigations, So there's some people that say, look, I don't want all that drama. Let me just do gynae. And then there's some people that say, oh, no, I don't want to be doing surgeries, all this reproductive, no. Let me just sit down with obstetrics. So you can practice one or the other. But most time, the training is done together. It's a whole package training. So basically, that is what obstetrics and gynecology is about. Okay, so the second one is about family planning, and family planning, it's as it states, it's helping you to plan your family, helping you to decide how many children you want and when you want them. So it is not just how many children you want, it is also when you want them, because you might want 5 children. I hope you don't want 5 though. But let's say you want 5 children now. You might not want them every year or every other year. You might want to put some space in between. And that's what family planning does. It helps you plan your family so that you can have the number of children you want at the time you want them. And there are very many family planning choices. And usually We also call them what you use to plan your family, contraceptives. And contraceptives are usually divided into two parts. You have the hormonals and the non-hormonals. And I'll start with the non-hormonals. Most of the non-hormonals are barrier methods apart from the copper TIUCD. So you have your condoms, male or female. You have your diaphragms, cervical caps. The problem with all these ones are that usually you have to put them on, before sex. And you know how these things are. Many times, for some people, sex is unplanned. Many times it's unplanned. And sometimes you don't have a condom on hand. Maybe your diaphragm, you have to fit it, beforehand and all that. So it doesn't give you the spontaneity of sex. Some people have also complained that, when they have a condom or this, they don't actually get the feeling of sex. So I think that is actually in their head. I don't think that is true. And if that is true, or if you think so, there's some what we call ultra thin condoms that you can use. And the beauty of the condoms or the barrier methods are that not only do they help you plan your family or prevent pregnancy, they're also very good because they help prevent against sexually transmitted infections, including HIV and AIDS. So they're very good contraceptive methods. The only problem, like I said, is that we don't use them well. We don't use them well enough. We don't use them well. So you can have increased risk of pregnancy with them, but they have no side effects except for people who react to latex, like in the condoms, but there are non-latex condoms that you can buy. And there's the copper T IUCD. It is non-hormonal. It is placed in your uterus and it helps prevent pregnancy. And it is a very effective method. In fact, I think in my clinic, it is the most used method, the copper T. But it has some downsides, has some side effects. Side effects include heavy or excessive bleeding during your period. So for some people, the flow is heavier or the number of days, the duration of the flow becomes longer than they're used to. So that's one side effect. The second thing is that because it's a foreign body, there's an increased risk of having infections with the copper T in place. And for the copper T, I say both partners have to be faithful because you know that if you're not faithful, you have a higher risk of having infection. And then with the copper T there, so that's like a double risk. So both partners have to be faithful if you're on copper T IUCD. The other thing with the copper T is that, like all contraceptive choices, it's supposed to prevent you from getting pregnant. But we know that contraceptives can occasionally fail. If copper T fails, for example, there's a slight increased chance that pregnancy will not be an intrauterine pregnancy. It might be an ectopic pregnancy. And that's why if you're on the copper T and you have missed your period, you need to go and see your doctor because they have to be sure that it is not an ectopic pregnancy. Another thing or side effects or complication that can happen with the copper T is that it can migrate. Now, this is extremely rare, but it is known to occur, in which the copper T leaves the uterus where it's supposed to be and then passes through the uterus and goes somewhere else, lodges in the peritoneum, can pierce some other organs, but that's extremely, extremely rare. So that's one of the downside of copper T. Okay, so we have the hormonals. And hormonals, a wide range of them, from your oral contraceptive pills. And your oral contraceptive pills, you can have either the progesterone only, or the combined pill. The combined pill has both progesterone and estrogen. And so let me talk about the combined pills first. So with the combined pills, you're supposed to take one every day at around the same time every day. So you see that it is not for people who are not dedicated. You have to be dedicatedly taking this drug for it to be effective, because if you miss more than 2 pills in a cycle, then you are not safe. You get pregnant. So usually you're supposed to take 1 pill every day at about the same time. So if you decide to choose 6 a.m., for example, you shouldn't do more than an hour window on either side. So you should be taking that drug between 5 to 7, ideally. And it's for some people have problems taking drugs every day. You know, it's not easy taking a drug every day, especially when you're not ill. So that can be a problem. So it has to be for people who are dedicated. And because it's a combined pill, there are contraindications to taking them. For example, if you can't take them if you're breastfeeding, because they can reduce the production of milk. You shouldn't take them if you have high blood pressure, if you have migraines, if you've had any cardiovascular problems, if you've had a deep venous thrombosis before, if you have liver disease, a breast disease. So there's a number of things why a number of diseases that you can have that the combined pill would not be suitable for you. So before you start, before you even start any contraceptive, you should have been seen by your doctor. Your doctor should examine you and decide which of them, would fit into or would be better for you, which of them would be suitable for you. So that's the oral contraceptive pills. Then we have the mini pills. That's the progesterone only pills. They're good, they're effective, but of course they should also be taken daily. Now I'll talk about all the hormonals, and then I'll talk about their side effects together, because most of them have similar side effects. Then you have the patches. The patches are usually like as I said, it's a patch, so you just stick it on your body, maybe your back, and just stick it there. You put a fresh one every week. So if you choose to have it start on a Monday, for example, that means every Monday you have to change it, and they're usually 3 in a pack, and there are 4 weeks in a month. So after the 3rd week, you're supposed to go patch free so that you can bleed, have your menses, and then you start again. And that's how the patch works. It's convenient for many people, but it's not commonly found in our environment. It's a bit difficult to find. I remember that it's just one pharmacy usually that we get it for my patients, and even they don't have it all the time. Then you have the implants. We used to have the nut plants in the past and Jadel, but I think now, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think they're in the market anymore. Now what we have is Implanon. An Implanon is an implant that you just put under your arm. Usually put it in the less dominant arm, and it's there. The implants last for 3 years, so you can take it out at any time you're willing to have a baby. So it's very effective, but people have complained about excessive weight gain. Now, all the hormonals, and I'll come to that, all have issues with weight gain as a side effect. But I've seen people who have complained, especially about the implants. I've seen somebody gain 20 kilograms in 3 months on the implants, and I've seen people who haven't gained a single thing. So you don't know how your body will react. But then that's why, if one option doesn't suit you, then it can be changed to something else. On the implant, people have also complained, or a side effect is irregular bleeding. So you can have this irregular bleeding. You're not, so your period, it's not your period. You can just spot in between or just have some breakthrough bleeding. And that's one of the things that people have complained about with the implants. Then you have the injectables. The injectables are injections that you take, and you have either the 2-monthly or the 3-monthly one. I think the 3-monthly one is more common in our environment, and it's taken every 3 months. It's convenient. You just come once in 3 months and get a jab. Very effective, but one of the main downsides, that's not just all the hormonals, one of the main downsides of the injectable is that return to fertility can take some time. Return to fertility sometimes can take from 6 months to up to 2 years. So when you're ready, it might just take a little while longer for you to get pregnant again. And for me, in my own practice, generally, I do not give women who haven't had at least 2 children, because I know that return to fertility can take a while. So that's what I do in my practice, not like for everybody, but and then Mirena, which is also an intrauterine contraceptive device, well, it's hormonal, and it's also placed in the uterus. It has all the downsides of copper T because it's a foreign body, apart from the bleeding. So with Mirena, for some people, they don't even see their periods for the duration in which it is there, and some people love it because of that. Oh, no messy periods. I'm good. I love it. So they don't see their periods. But now all the hormonals have the same side effects. There's side effects of weight gain. There can be weight gain on it. You can have irritability, mood swings, and that's one of the headaches. So irritability, mood swings, headaches, and this is common to many of the hormonals. For most people, there are mild symptoms that can be handled, but for a few people, it can be really bad. And if it is, then speak to your doctor. They'll have a contraceptive choice change. And then we now have what we call the permanent contraceptive choices, either the vasectomy for the man, which is an office procedure. It's easy to do. The vas that takes the sperm to the urethra where it is ejaculated, is snipped off or cut off, and so you do not have a flow of the sperm into the woman, and whatever sperm is formed is reabsorbed by the body, and that's what vasectomy is. Though with vasectomy, you have to keep testing to be sure of that, because all the sperms do not automatically just go immediately. You keep testing until you have gotten 2 consecutive semen samples that have no sperm in them. That's when you are now free to say, okay, you're having sex without any form of protection. Then we have the bilateral tubal ligation, and this is the tubes, the fallopian tubes of the woman. They're cut off to ensure that you do not have movements of the egg, when it's ovulated, so that the sperm do not meet it. And that is what, those are the different contraceptive choices that there are.
Thank you, Dr. Chichi. Thank you so much, for the thorough explanation that you gave us. Thank you for the clarification about obstetrics and gynecology. And of course, thank you for that thorough lecture that you gave us about different birth control methods. Okay, so ladies, now if one is not working, another will work. So the idea is just to know the advantages, the disadvantages, the side effects and all of that. And of course, to work with your doctor so that you know the one that is most suitable, for you. There are different types of birth control that you can choose from. And of course, guys, now you know that vasectomy is an option too. Okay, it's also a recommended birth control method. All right, so guys, what are you waiting for? Okay, so Dr. Chichi, I just want you to tell the guys, because I'm sure they are interested in knowing if there are side effects when they choose to go for vasectomy, are there side effects? Because I'm sure probably those are the things that make them not to be so receptive to the idea. So let them know at least what to, watch out for and all of that. And then I think I read, that the process is actually reversible. Is that right? So probably you could just help us lay the affairs to rest. All right. So that, women too can take a rest. I really, really think, it's something that our men should start considering, actually, especially if it is safe and, but why not? Okay, so Dr. Chichi, please help us lay the affairs to rest, about vasectomy. And, well, the last question is, because I remember now, okay, that in that story, one of the reasons, apart from the fact that the woman said that she was having side effects, or she was experiencing side effects with the birth control method that she was using, she was also looking, for a male child. Apparently, her children, were all female children, and for some reason, we don't know whether it was the husband, but then I don't think it was the husband, because he said he didn't want more children. But sometimes there's just that pressure, either directly or subtly, about not having male children, especially in our culture. So she also didn't mind going on and on until, she has a desired gender, now, so I'm thinking probably you have experienced, you have had to deal with women like that. So what counsel do you give to this kind of women? Because is it okay? Do you think it's safe for them to just keep going on and on like that? Having more kids simply because they want a particular type of, gender and all of that. So do you experience this kind of situations in your practice? And how do you, counsel this women? What do you say to them? I'm sure somebody out there, can learn from your wealth of experience. So over to you, Dr. Chichi. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, so vasectomy, like I said it's an office procedure. It's easy to do. I think it's one of the easiest contraceptive methods because it's done in the office. And it is actually termed to be permanent, though we know that it can be reversed. But we like to say that you should think of it as permanent because reversal is difficult and expensive to do. So we tell people before you do a vasectomy, try and be sure that you're not willing or you don't want to have any other children. Okay, now, like I said, it's a simple procedure, but then it's still a surgical procedure and there can be some complications. One includes bleeding, so you can bleed excessively, but most times it doesn't happen. Then there can be an infection. Don't forget that we're cutting open into the skin, and then some bacteria can get into that place. So there can be infection. But usually these things are rare. So if you have excessive pain or swelling, of course you have some swelling there, but if the pain is excessive or the swelling is excessive, you need to see your urologist who did it, because it might be that you have an infection in the place. But for most people, within 3 to 7 days, they've healed completely. and after a week, they can resume sexual activity. But don't forget that at that time, you can still impregnate a woman. In fact, it said that it takes about 3 months, or in some people, longer, for your ejaculate to be totally free from sperm cells. And that's okay. This about 3 months or 20 ejaculates, and to be sure that your semen is free of sperm cells, you have to have 3 consecutive semen analysis that do not show any sperm cells before you say that you are free. If not, you can still impregnate a woman. So those are the things that you should be concerned about. Now, I know people have talked about different things. I've heard of the Chinese calendar, having sex during ovulation, and all those that it can help you or ensure that you have a boy. Maybe they improve your chances of having a boy, but there's no foolproof way apart from having IVF and pre-genetic testing. So they will do sex selection at the time and then put only the male embryos back into you. And don't forget, when women put themselves under pressure or society puts them under pressure that they're not having a boy, the sex is determined by the man. So it is what he has given you. If he gives you an X chromosome, you have only X, so you have a female. If he gives you a Y chromosome, okay, then you have a boy. So sex is determined by the man, by the husband. So women shouldn't put themselves under pressure. Neither should society, because they don't determine the sex of the child. But if you're particular and you say, oh, I want a boy, then you need to have IVF with sex selection. It's quite expensive. I know it ranges from $6,000 to $12,000 to do that. That is apart from the fee for the IVF. So if anyone who really, really wants to do it, sure, why not?
Thank you so much, Dr. Chichi. That was quite informative. And oh yes, please tell them, help us tell these people that the man determines the gender of a child. Okay, enough of the harassment and the pressure that come to women, all in the name of giving the husband a male child. Guys, it's not it's you, okay? It's what you put there. That she gives back to you, something like that. And in-laws, share una don't hear that one too. And not be the wife or now son, or brother. All right, but male or female, every child is a blessing from God, okay? And we appreciate God for the gift of children. So my curiosity, of course, is getting the better of me. So I'm just going to throw the question to Cynthia and Vera, specifically because they were the ones that mentioned, abstinence, that the man should have probably stopped sleeping with the wife. I mean, well, they just said it in passing that he didn't want to use condom and all of that, and yet he didn't stop sleeping with her. So I'm like, okay, is that an option? Why do you think it's an abstinence? Would be an option in that situation? Do you think it's an option? And then, why do you think it's an option? And Ogashiju, you being the man, I mean, tell us, what do you think about that? Is it something that you would consider in that situation? Do you think it's an option? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
So when I said you should have abstained from sex, I was gauging it, with the other action that he ended up taking, which is conniving with the medical doctor to take out his wife's womb, which was basically committing a crime. Going for such life altering procedure without even the consent of the human on which the procedure is being done. And I'm like, for me, the reason why I felt like he went for that was because he did not want something. He did not want to have children anymore, and he felt like he could take such decisions. He felt like the end game was would justify the means and stuff. And so I am thinking, if the end game is literally to not have children, instead of having to commit a crime, he could have done something that was within his own power to do, which is literally keeping your soldiers under the pants, pending when you are able to agree with your wife on the best control method to do. If you felt like maybe when she wasn't taking action, maybe him abstaining would maybe not necessarily wake him up, but maybe it will make her come to the table and himself, and they can agree on something. Clearly they both like sex. I mean, that's why I feel like they continue to have it, and they cannot just stop, at least to just come back, dial back, and then go back to the drawing table. Do you really want this? Do we really want this? And all of that. I mean, I just feel like he could have done so many other things instead of going for what he did. And abstinence for me is one thing that was in his own ballpark that he could have gone for, at least pending when they agree on something. That's why I feel like a reasonable person should do. But clearly I don't think it's even reasonable for him to have decided to take. I mean, when I just even think about it, taking out somebody's, doing just even any procedure, if it is not a life or death situation, it's preposterous. It's beyond me. Like, what man, women they suffer, that one, like, women they suffer. I mean, the more I try to wrap my head around it, the more it just blows my mind away. You took out someone else's womb. I understand she's your wife, and there's the whole thing of her body is my body and everything, but within the confines of the law, you need to get her consent to do that. And so if he literally did not want to have kids so bad, he could have just kept his soldiers, to himself. You could have done that. If you don't give, no child will be formed, literally. That was why I mentioned abstinence. I mean, man.
Okay. So I'll just go exactly with what Cynthia just said. The truth is that conversation talking about abstinence was just a passing one because of the situation at hand. I mean, really, if you are a good man, let's just say, and your wife is insisting that she doesn't want to go through family planning, and probably you are also scared of vasectomy or whatever. Probably you've read that it's irreversible, you've read some things about it, and somehow you just feel like you're not comfortable with that now. So exactly as Cynthia has said it, what is in your own power? How can you decide right now? The decision to take, the wisest, I won't say the wisest, but the lowest hanging fruit here of all the decisions around this issue is to say, okay, that's fine, then we can't be having sex. So that's the reason I said he should have abstained, right? I mean, that for him, if there's so many ifs around here, because ordinarily if he abstains, the wife should say, oh, of course both of them want to have sex at one time or the other, and he'll be like, my love, I mean, we can't do it because I'm not ready for babies. I'm not doing vasectomy. You aren't planning. You're not looking at doing this. So maybe it's not a solution because it's not going to be permanent, right? It would of course bring in more issues. So it was just, I mean, for that, like I said again, it's the lowest hanging fruit at that point. You're not going for family planning. I'm not going for family planning. Okay, we didn't even talk about the option of using condoms. Okay, that's also there. And then if nothing is going to happen, I mean, the best is just to abstain. And if you've gone through several support, help, counseling, and everything, I don't think that I don't like marriages to break, but if there is no solution after doing everything, then you may just go your own different ways. But going into her womb and getting the womb off without her knowing, criminal offense. Thank you.
Well, I thank you for asking this question as regards abstinence. So abstinence, for me, is not an option for people who are married. So being married, how do you intend to cope with your sexual and emotional needs if you completely decide to abstain from sexual activities? Abstinence may not really be a way, it may not be sustainable. So if they decide to go by that, it may not be sustainable on the long run. So one day, body will still touch body, and so I don't think that they will be able to maintain discipline enough to say that they are abstaining from sexual activity. So abstinence is not an option at all for people of their age. Though we don't know their age, but definitely from the explanation we already know that they are young, because they are still very sexually active and their reproductive capabilities are very high. So abstinence is just not a way to go. For people like that, I would think that they both agree to other family planning methods, child family planning methods, different ones, so that they can actually find one that works. So the mere idea that family planning does not work is not true. So I think that abstinence is not a way, but other family planning methods can work. None of it should be thrown out of the option.
Interesting perspectives. Yes, I agree with Cynthia and Dr. Vera that if you put both options on a scale, the option the man went for far outweighs the option of abstinence. Okay, I mean, it would be better for him to abstain than, for him to commit the crime that he committed. Okay, I mean, that was grievous. Okay, so yes, abstinence would have been a better option. But I also do not think that abstinence would have been, would have brought about a solution. I'm thinking that it would probably create even other problems, because that's already a loophole that the man can use, to maybe step out. That would be a very easy excuse for him to, step out, on his marriage. Okay, because for me, a man who could go to that extent, removing his wife's womb without a consent is an unscrupulous man. He can do anything. And so, it would just be easy for him to say, well, this man also thinks that it's the woman's responsibility to do something about birth control, right? So he will say, okay, well, since she's not doing what she needs to do, then, well, I have needs, and I'll just go find other ways of having my needs met, and well, I'm sure there are people who will say, support him and say, well, yes, he has, a good reason or a genuine reason, for doing that. And, but the funny thing is that this man who would rather not use condom with his wife to prevent, unwanted pregnancies would most likely, in fact, I'm sure maybe 99.9%, use condom outside if he decides to take his business outside. And that just makes me wonder, why sometimes partners give considerations, to outsiders more than they do to their significant others. I mean, this kind of things happen, at least from stories that we've heard, not in relation to this particular topic we're discussing, but, in other areas, partners giving consideration even to outsiders more than they do to their significant others. And it's disturbing, for me, because I'm like, why do people do these things? But then that's a topic for another day. And of course, on the part of the woman, because, hey, guess what? It's not only men that have sexual needs, right? I know society thinks that, women, they can, it's either they think women don't have sexual needs as men, or they think, women can manage their own, better. Okay, that's topic for another day too. But the truth is that the woman too can, use that as an excuse. It's a loophole, and she can use that as an excuse to also step out and say, well, I'm not going to go on that birth control measure. I'm not going to take contraceptives because I'm experiencing side effects, and well, I also have needs, blah blah blah. And there's every likelihood that the person she's going to meet outside will also do what her husband is not willing to do, that is, use a condom. So you see, it's just it could just create problems. That's what I'm trying to say. So bottom line, like Ogashiju, has said, is that both of them need to really come together to figure out what works best for them. Okay, this is not one person's problem. So it's two people's problem. So they need to sit together to figure out what will work for both of them. They should make necessary compromises. Guy, use a condom. I mean, what's that nonsense about, you're my wife, I cannot use a condom with you and all of that? If that is what is going to help, the situation at that moment, then do it. Okay. And woman, there are options. We have learned that there are options. So if one is not working, another, might work. So both partners should find a solution that benefits, both of them, solutions that are mutually beneficial. That's important. It shouldn't be one person, benefiting while the other person is experiencing, all the disadvantages. The solution they both come up with in this situation and in every other type of situation, should be mutually beneficial to every party concerned. All right. I'm so grateful to our guests today. Thank you so much, Dr. Chichi. Thank you a lot for, bringing your wealth of experience to today's episode. Thank you, Ogashiju. And thank you, Dr. Vera. Thank you all for coming and making this discussion an interesting one. And thank you, our independent observer, Cynthia. All right. And of course, thank you so much to our audience. Thank you for staying with us on this discussion. What do you think? What do you think about gist today? Guys, would you get a vasectomy? If you find yourself in this kind of situation. Ladies, what do you think the woman should have done, or what do you think the man should have done? What do you think generally, about today's discussion? Please let us know. We would love to hear from you. Kindly drop your comments on our social media platforms. We are on Instagram at Gist Arena, ending with a double A, and we're on YouTube, Gist Arena. Please follow us, subscribe to our channel, like, share, and please comment. We would love to hear from you. And until we come your way again, it's your girl saying bye. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of Gist Arena. We hope you enjoyed the topic discussed. Please drop your comments and let us know what you think about it. We'll definitely love to hear from you. Until next time, bye!